Good evening, everyone. My name is Robertson Castor. I'm a senior project manager with the City of Boston's Public Facilities Department, overseeing the construction of the new BCYF Dorchester Community Center to be located at Geneva Avenue, right across from the Grove Hall Library. This is our fifth community meeting. For those who have been in attendance and continue to come, we appreciate you showing up today. And for those who are new and have not attended any of the meetings but have heard, we're glad to have you join us today. We're excited to show you the progress that we've made so far through the design. Our design team has just wrapped up the design development stage, and we are now working through the construction document stage and developing the plans. And we have some exciting new angles and updates we'd like to share with the whole community. So thank you for taking part. Next slide. For those who may need translation services, we are providing four languages for translation: Cape Verdean Creole, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Haitian Creole. The proper way to access, if you need the interpretations, then after I complete this, I'll ask that the translators one by one be able to do this translation so that folks can get to the respective channels. Please, at the bottom of your Zoom screen, there's a globe icon. Also written underneath it is interpretation. You can select the language or the language of your choice. And then also to make sure that you can hear just the language that you want to hear, you can mute the original audio so you can just hear the translation only. Cape Verdean Creole, would you be able to translate, and then we follow with Spanish and then Vietnamese and Haitian Creole, just kind of giving that announcement to everyone prior to moving on. Is Carlos on this channel, or is he already in his respective channel?
They're already in the interpretation channels. So if you click into those, then it's possible to hear them on there.
All right. So once again, globe icon, select the language of choice, and you can mute the original audio, and there you can find your respective translator. All right. So I'd like to introduce the projects team. Once again, the project is being led by the Public Facilities Department. That has Carlton Jones, our Executive Director, Evan Brinkman, the Assistant Director of Design, Ellen Guznik, our Assistant Director of Construction, myself, Robertson Castor, Senior Project Manager, as well as Michael Susi, Senior Review Architect. I'll pass it to Marta for the BCYF introductions.
Good evening. Buenas noches, everyone. My name is Marta Rivera. I'm the Commissioner of the Boston Centers for Youth and Families. It is a pleasure to be able to, as Robertson said, report back to you the progress of this project. This evening, I hope I don't miss anyone, but this evening I'm joined by Sandy Holden, our Director of Communications at BCYF. I also, I don't believe any of the persons here listed are present, but we do have some of our staff. I saw David Hinton's name. David is the Center Director of the Vine Street. We often engage other center directors in this process. Our Aquatics Operations Manager, Nadine Jesenek, is also on. So again, my apologies if I miss anyone else, but just wanted to mention some of the folks from our team who are on the call. And there are so many that have been engaged in this process. And I'd also like to, Robertson, did you want me to thank the Community Engagement Committee?
Yes, please.
Are you going to do that? Okay, great. So we've had this Community Engagement Committee, or CEC committee, that's been working with us through this throughout this project. They're listed there. I won't go through all of them, but we are incredibly grateful for their time, their commitment. They do meet with us separately. So again, it is additional time, and we are always appreciative of their input. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. And I will turn it to Brett Benson of UTL Architecture and Planning, the design team for this project. Brett?
Great. Thank you, Robertson. So hi, everybody. I'm Brett Benson, I'm a principal at UTL. We're an architecture and planning firm here in Boston. I'm the principal in charge. We have many of my colleagues working with us, but you'll hear from a couple of us tonight. Petra Jaramlamova, who's a project manager, Andrew Ngori, who's a project designer. And we also have with us tonight Olivera Burst from our partners at Ground. They're our landscape architects for the project tonight. So why don't we move on to the next slide?
Oh, yeah.
So on our agenda tonight is the introductions, which we've already done. We're going to review a little bit, if this is your first time engaging with us on the community center project, the schedule and the process moving forward. We'll review the floor plans and some of the updates we've made. Olivera will review the landscape design as it stands currently. We'll give you a quick summary of some of the community workshops and engagement that we did earlier this summer. And then we're going to spend some time looking at some of the primary exterior facades and the primary interior spaces of the community center. We haven't designed everything yet, but we've kind of started off on some of the important areas. And we really want to get all of your feedback tonight so that we can take that and kind of continue designing on and look forward to our next community meeting. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Petra, who will take us through the first couple of slides. Thanks.
Sorry, Petra, before you begin, can I ask folks who are not speaking just to mute so that we don't have any background noise overtake the presentation? If everyone can just take a moment just to mute themselves. We'll definitely have a question and answer period, so there'll be a chance for everyone to speak at the end.
Do we have, maybe we should also ask, we sometimes have elected officials that join. We want to acknowledge them, but I don't see any. Sandy, did you catch anyone?
I didn't know.
Hi,
I
I'm
didn't
actually
see anyone.
my name is Justin Gardner. I'm here with Senator Liz Miranda. I'm the Constituent Services Director for Senator Liz Miranda's office. I'm just gonna put my email, like contact information, in the chat. And if anyone has any questions for us, feel free to call our office number or email me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Great. Thank you, Robertson and Brett, for the intro. So I'll just start off briefly reviewing the project schedule. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. If not, please do let me know. So we've kind of gone through this particular slide at every meeting so far, and just to kind of show everybody where we're at in terms of the design and the community input timelines. As Robertson mentioned, we are currently entering the technical design period. So, you know, we've had a lot of great feedback from everybody during the early design phase. And right now we're really moving on to the technical design, kind of, you know, developing the building plans, very detailed coordination with consultants to kind of confirm all the building systems and selection of materials. After this, that's kind of a 6-month timeline. After this timeline, during which we still, you know, anticipate having a number of community meetings to talk about interiors at a higher level of detail, we would move into the construction phase, which is projected to take about 24 months approximately. And then after that, there would be a move-in and opening phase during which BCYF would be moving into this center before it could open to the public. In terms of community engagement, we've had a lot of really great meetings with you all, a lot of community feedback. We are kind of, you know, this graphic makes it look like we're at the end of the timeline, but there's still a bunch to go here. So this is to kind of show you, you know, what we've had, the meetings we've had to date. We'll recap that in a little bit as well. So we're right now at community meeting 5, looking at, again, the building plans and starting to look at our facades. And we anticipate a number of future community meetings in early 2025, like I mentioned, to look at more detailed interiors and additional building planning. So I'll jump into a floor plan update. I'll walk through the full floor plans for those who have not seen the plans yet and weren't present at our last meetings. And I'll also highlight some of the changes that we've made since our last meeting for those that were there, just to kind of point out some progress that we've made, changes that we've made to the plans. So down at the bottom of the page is Geneva Avenue. Normandy Street is off to the left and Oldfields is at the top, as most of you know. Our main entry to the building is from Geneva Avenue. It's kind of near the Normandy Geneva corner, right across from the Boston Public Library entrance and not too far from the current Grove Hall Senior Center entrance. So we have our lobby right here, kind of in the middle. Off to the left, we have a 5-lane, 25-yard pool that will.
I'm sorry to interrupt. How do I
Yes.
see the picture? All I'm seeing is the Zoom attendees. What do I do?
You
Um,
just have to slide your screen. You might be on the
Oh,
screen where you see folks.
thank you. I found it. Thank you.
okay.
You're welcome.
No worries. I'm glad you found it. That would not be very exciting looking at, not looking at the floor plans. Okay, so yeah, just kind of recapping, the pool is a 5-lane pool, appropriate for competition swimming as well as classes. We have a 0 entry ramp off to the right-hand side of the pool. That is for barrier-free entry into the pool. So, in lieu of a lift, which we're pretty excited about. There's a bunch of support spaces around the pool shown in dark yellow, locker rooms, gender neutral shower and changing rooms. And off to the right, off of the lobby, kind of, when you come in, straight ahead of you is the gymnasium, which you'll be able to see from the lobby. And then just kind of below the gym is a cardio and weights room, which we anticipate will have some workout type equipment. And then off a little bit further to the right is a flex fitness room, which is designed to kind of host a variety of classes such as Tai Chi or martial arts or dance, etc. Off to the bottom right, there's an art room for art classes, and then kind of circling back, right next to the lobby is the senior center and community room. The senior center also has a few kind of additional spaces attached to it. There's a little conference room for private meetings, and kind of a more lounge-like area with some computer workstations. And then attached to those rooms is also a community kitchen, which is kind of between the art and the community room. So when you enter the lobby, you kind of have the pool, you have the gym right in front of you, and then the senior center right to the right-hand side, right next to the elevator. Upstairs, and sorry, just going back here for 1 second, I did want to point out the changes we've made since last time to those who were on that meeting. There's a couple of note. Since the last meeting, we've added a large canopy over about half of the plaza. It's a little bit hard to see here, and you'll see some views of it a little bit later in the presentation. But we're really excited about it. We heard a lot of comments at the last community meeting that people really wanted some outdoor shaded space. So this should be really great space, shaded space to use throughout the summer months and some of the spring and fall. Another change we've made is we've enlarged the lobby. We've shifted the stair off to the right-hand side and increased the amount of glass actually to the pool itself for activities that require a little bit more public viewing, like competitions, just to allow for a little bit more kind of spectator viewing into the pool for activities that are more public in nature. We obviously are also thinking very hard about lots of the comments we've heard about privacy in the pool, which we will touch on a little bit later as well. And then the last item I'll mention here is that the transformer, the electrical transformer, which was previously on Normandy Street, we've shifted into kind of this alcove a little bit away from the street, just to make the pedestrian experience down Normandy Street a bit nicer, not to have electrical equipment right on the street, and just to kind of improve that pedestrian experience. And then upstairs, you know, we have, right when you kind of come up this main stair from the lobby, you have the teen center off to your right next to the elevator. And then a little bit beyond that, we have the after school program.
It's gonna be right across the street from the
Excuse me, y'all. Can we just have everyone mute their mics, please?
Thank you, Robertson. And then across the hallway from Teen Center and After School, we have a tech lab, which could host computer classes or different types of classes. We have a maker space with 3D printers and other kind of for other maker type activities, as well as a workshop between those. And I think the major kind of developments that we've made on this level is really, as you can see, there's little kind of furniture in there in gray. We're really starting to kind of test fit the spaces and, you know, make sure we understand how they're arranged, how the spaces are working. So there's this extra level of kind of detail here that we're really, you know, starting to work through right now. And so just to summarize, in terms of how the building is organized, we have our aquatics related programs in this kind of greenish color. That's the pool, locker rooms, gender neutral shower and changing rooms, lifeguard room, pool manager's office. In yellow, we have our kind of fitness related program, gym, fitness, cardio, flexible fitness, gym office. And then in the red, we have our enrichment programs, such as the senior center, community room, community kitchen, conference room, and the art room. And then upstairs, the upstairs is also in this kind of reddish color for enrichment, which is the teen center, after school care, makerspace, and tech lab. And then all of those programs kind of come together at the lobby, which we're really excited about. We envision the lobby as a space where you'll be able to kind of come in and actually have visual connection to all of the kind of major programs that are on offer at the center. So you'll be able to come in and you'll be able to see kind of the pool type programs. You'll be able to actually have a view into the gym, into the cardio and weights, as well as to some of the upstairs programs, like directly into the makerspace and a small view into the teen center, which we'll look at in just a little bit. But we're really excited to kind of have this lobby be a space where you can come in and maybe you're just coming in for one type of class, but you'll be able to see all these other things that are on offer, you know, as you come in, to kind of, you know, make it really clear what all is available to you here. And the green space out here, that's kind of shown in green just outside of the lobby, is the front plaza, which our landscape architect, Olivera, will talk about in just a moment. But it's intended to really be kind of an extension of the lobby, you know, a space that kind of has a similar function. So we're really excited about that space kind of, you know, continuing outside a little bit. So with that, I'll turn it over to Olivera to talk about the landscape design.
Thank you, Petra. So I'll do a very quick recap of the landscape design, just in case that not everybody is familiar with what we've been working on so far. This is the plan of the landscape surrounding the building. So first I want to talk about the street trees and the sidewalks. We planted about 20 or so new street trees. They're all planted along the curb, and they have structural soil and irrigation supporting them. So they will, you know, survive long-term and provide a lot of shade and help with the heat island effect in the city that, you know, we all know how rough it can be hot in the summer. Next, we provided this small entry plaza with a long bench on the side that, you know, just helps people gathering in front of the space, entering, exiting the community center, and they're a little bit on the side of the sidewalk, providing them a bit of privacy, but still very open and safe space to enjoy. And also the architects providing a canopy for protection from sun and the elements. In the corner, there's this raised sidewalk, providing nice and safe connection to the library across the street. Then the other space that is new to the area will be the outdoor art room. The outdoor art room is an extension of the indoor art room. Yeah, right there. And weather allowing, people, kids will be able to provide to use this space for arts and crafts. And on the yeah, I'll talk about this a little bit more later when we see the view of this space actually. Along the Oldsfields Road, there's a little bit bigger planted area with shrubs and perennials, and then more planting behind the staff parking area. And that's pretty much everything that's happening in the landscape. There's also on the street, there'll be a few parking spots and drop-off area. Yeah, right there, bus drop-off area. And that's new to the street. We had to move the curb of the existing sidewalk to provide the space. Maybe next slide. So this, sorry. So this is the view of the entry plaza. You see the corner of the sidewalk is very open and inviting, helps people move through the space and find their way. It's right across from the library. Yeah, the main entry to the building is to the right behind those trees. It's a little bit hard to see on this view. And you see a bench along the facade. It's a long wood bench. There's few tables and chairs. So space is pretty generous. It's small but generous for people to move around and gather. And then there's two planted areas providing a bit of separation from the sidewalk. And next slide. And this is the small art room outdoor area. To the right is the wall that looks gray on this view. It's actually the mural, if anybody is familiar, the existing mural wall, and then it's gonna really help brightening this space. This is just a small patio with sort of more informal space. With a bit of planting to soften the hardscape. And we're thinking to provide exposed aggregate paving here because it's gonna help with, you know, paint spilling on. It's not gonna look so stark as on a, let's say, white concrete paving. That's all for the landscape updates so far.
I just wanted to add in really quickly. These are just renderings. None of this furniture has been picked out or these colors have been finalized. That's why you're seeing things in this white scale. So we're as the process goes on, we will develop these options as well.
Yeah.
I'll give a summary of our community engagement progress so far. If you could go to the next slide. In May and June, we held community engagement workshops at the Grove Hall Senior Center, Vine Street Community Center, Frederick Middle School, and a pop-up event at the BPL Grove Hall, in which we listened to teens, seniors, and the general public on what the Dorchester Community Center should look and feel like. If you could go to the next slide. As Petra mentioned earlier, these workshops are just the most recent of many community engagement events we've held in the neighborhood since our first public meeting in November last year, as you can see. And it's been an incremental process of just initially talking about the building programs and activities, moving on to space planning and the adjacencies between the activity spaces, to the most recent workshops centered on the look and feel of the community center. And I think overall it's been a marvelously successful process, and we've received a lot of feedback that's directly influence and continues to directly influence the design process. And I think we're extremely thankful and appreciative of all the active participation we've gotten so far. And next slide. I'll give a summary of these most recent workshops and talk about what we've heard and what we've learned. So we've learned that the seniors prefer spaces with warm and neutral palettes with soft accents of color and lots of wood. And at the bottom of the slide, you can see
I was here before,
and
we're happy they're selling me the wrong stuff in here, so I bring it back.
Sorry, just again, a
sorry.
general reminder, please mute
muted
yourselves
too.
if
Okay,
you're not
yeah.
speaking. Thank you.
Yeah. What happened? This is right, but this one is not the one.
Petra, does the host have the ability to mute all?
I have to go to the car. Maybe it's missing another box.
Yes, I'm just looking for that
You
button
know,
right
this is
now.
too much for me today.
Sorry, I'll
Question.
try to find who it is. Yep, one second.
There's one, yes, there's two in box.
It's
Can you
Carol.
make sure this is not the one in here? Because I had to go to the car. Maybe it's dropping the car. That's the one? Because it's another one. Let me just go to the car. Something is wrong. Okay. This is just a little bit
Any
more.
luck, Petra?
Hello. Hello, Carol.
Hi, Carol. Could you mute your microphone, please?
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, I just muted Carol. Sorry. Okay, we're good to go.
Okay.
Sorry,
Thanks, Petra.
Carol. Okay.
Could you go to slideshow? Great. Thanks. Yes, so to the bottom of the this series of images you can see at the bottom were the most sort of preferred or images that got the most attention in regards to look and feel. So they sort of correspond to the preferences of warm, neutral palettes. So that corresponds to basically the look and feel. And we also learned that the seniors prefer some or lots of visibility from the exterior, also between adjacent spaces and between different activities within the same space. Seniors preferred little to no visibility into the pool and some visibility into the gym from the exterior, from outside. In regards to activities, seniors preferred board games, lounge space, and movie screening. Next slide, I'll talk about what we learned from the teen workshops. On a similar note, the images that you see on the bottom of the screen are sort of visual representations of these preferences. And so teens preferred spaces with cozy seating, color, wood, and industrial accents. Many teens preferred or expressed the desire for a space that feels safe, calm, and welcoming. Teens preferred visibility from the exterior, adjacent spaces, and between activities in the same space. Similar to the seniors, they also preferred no visibility into the pool and some visibility from the exterior into the gym. On the note of activities, teens preferred video gaming, lounge space, and movie screening. On the next slide, what we learned from both. Both teens and seniors prefer the community center to feel warm, safe, and welcoming. Most folks want some visibility from the exterior between adjacent spaces and also between activities in their spaces. Both sort of user groups prefer privacy at the pool. That was a priority for both. In regards to activities, both teens and seniors prefer gaming, both board and video, lounge space, and movie screening. I'll pass it on to Brett. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, Andrew. So we're going to change gears just a little bit and look at the outside of the building. And Petra, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. We really have been focused on the kind of major front facades of the building, and then thinking a little bit as well about the Old Fields Road elevations or facades of the building, so that we can get your feedback tonight and kind of take that into account and carry it forward as we continue on with the design. One thing I want to mention is that these are all very much in progress views. I know that they look maybe a little bit finished, but that's just a product of the software we use where everything looks done, but there's still a lot more design to do. And again, we really want to get your feedback tonight. So this first image is the view from the intersection of Geneva and Normandy. So this is next to the library parking lot driveway. And in the foreground, we're showing the new raised crosswalk that Olivera was presenting earlier. This also shows the landscaped entry plaza and the covered porch. The front door and the entry lobby is located to the right. The pool is to the left. And overall, we really wanted to promote a sense of openness with views into the community center from the outside of the building, so that all of those really amazing offerings that are part of the community center are visible to anybody who passes by. But at the pool in particular, we wanted to balance this openness with also providing a sense of privacy for the people who are inside, who are in their bathing suits. So we're proposing that the glass that you see here would be obscured within eye height of anybody walking by, so that folks who are inside using the pool won't feel like they have people looking at them in their bathing suits. But above eye height, it will still feel very open and welcoming. Let's go to the next slide. So this is the view from in front of the library entrance. And the other major materials that we're proposing are, which you can see in the upper left corner, a light colored brick on the lower section of the classroom wing or enrichment wing to the right, as well as the kind of champagne colored metal panel on the upper portion of that wing, as well as on the swimming pool. These materials, they're kind of oriented in a concave shape so that they create more of a scalloped or a kind of fluted texture on the wall. And we think that these softer shapes are going to catch the light in a very beautiful way and cast some very nice shadows and really give the building a very fine-grained and rich texture. And while we know that brick is a very familiar material in Grove Hall and really throughout Boston, we think that the warm tones of these materials are going to be a nice counterpoint to some of the cooler materials used on some of the neighboring buildings. Let's go to the next slide. So then walking around the corner, this is the view at the corner of Normandy and Old Fields Road. You can see the staff parking lot in the foreground and the gym in the background. I know it's a little bit hard to tell from this angle, but we have been working hard to keep the scale of the gym so that it's in harmony with the homes that are across the street, and also be very conscientious about light spilling out from the gym in the nighttime hours. And this is also probably a good time to note that we have a physical model that we've built of the community center, and we're really looking forward at our next community meeting to presenting that to everybody. So it's not just these sometimes hard to understand computer generated views, but there's something physical that everybody will be able to see. And just a reminder to everybody, if you could put yourselves on mute during the presentation, there'll be a Q&A later. So let's move to the inside on the next slide. So this is the view from the lobby. And in the lobby, we really wanted to create a space that's welcoming, a space that has very easy access to all of the major spaces in the community center. And we're really just starting to explore interior materials. We're going to be using all of the workshop feedback that we received that Andrew explained as a jumping off point. But from this view, you're going to be able to see into the gym. You'll be able to see down the corridor off to the right that leads to the senior center and the community room and the fitness rooms. And then also the corridor that leads to the pool. And then also finally that stair that leads up to the teen center, the maker space, the tech lab, and the after school program. So really creating a central spot that again is warm, welcoming, but provides very easy access to all of the major programs here in the building. Let's go to the next slide. And now this is a view from the front desk. And we know that good sight lines from the front desk to the front door and down all the corridors are all really important. And so from this desk, the staff who are sitting here will be able to make eye contact with somebody who's coming in the door. And if you're a first-time visitor to this community center, you'll have a real person to talk to, and it'll be very clear how the space is organized and be able to access all of the spaces. One thing that I also just want to point out, and maybe Petra, you could hover over it with your mouse, is that interior window into the teen space up on the second floor, so that there's just another visual connection between the entry lobby and all of the programs that are inside the building. Perfect, great, thanks so much. Right there. And then finally, let's move on to the pool on the next slide. So again, the pool is a 5-lane pool. It includes a 0 barrier entry and a ramp into the pool. That's what you see in the center of this image. We really want to create a space that has a whole lot of natural light, so that it feels very much a calm, a comfortable, a joyous space. We definitely acknowledge that swimming pools can bring a lot of anxiety to people, especially folks who are learning to swim. We really want this space to be just full of natural light, feel very calming to everybody. And again, we've obscured the glass that's within eye height so that we can prevent views from the outside. And then we'll also have shades that can be drawn for groups who might want some additional privacy while they're swimming in.
Right, can you explain, sorry, for those that don't, maybe are not familiar with the 0 barrier entry, can you explain that?
Absolutely. So thanks, Marta. So, and maybe Petra with your mouse, you can kind of point out the different features. So right at the corner of the pool, there will be an area that is level with the pool deck so that anybody can kind of walk out onto that landing. And then there will be a very gentle ramp that leads down into the pool, into the shallow end with handrails on both sides. So this will be wheelchair accessible. It will be accessible for folks who just need a little more security as they enter into the pool. And it's a great tool for teaching younger folks or at least people who are learning how to swim to get more comfortable with the water without having to fully dive into the water. So it's a great tool and one that I think is really going to promote a lot of accessibility into the pool. All right, so one more slide here that I wanted to present and switch gears just a little bit. Again, And that's to talk about some of the sustainability features that we have in the community center. And for us, the sustainability really hits on a few key themes. One is creating a very healthy and comfortable indoor environment for all of the patrons who will be using the community center. On the exterior of the building, creating a space that combats some of the heat island effect that is so prevalent in parts of Grove Hall because of the lack of trees. So creating areas of shade and moments where people can rest and gain shelter from the sun. And then finally, areas or systems in the building that reduce energy use and rely on all electric sources so that we can move to a completely decarbonized building energy source for the project. So we've done a number of different techniques to achieve that. We have a very highly insulated exterior building envelope. So that means that the roof and the walls use a lot of insulation so that the building is highly efficient. We've created areas of the roof that will be ready for solar panel installation, as well as areas in the staff parking area for future EV electric vehicle chargers. We have a stormwater system that captures some of the stormwater from the roof and recharges it underground rather than draining it out into the Boston Harbor. And overall, really trying to very carefully study the placement and location of windows so that we can get really good natural light without having too much natural light to overheat the space. And I just saw the question pop up in the chat about LEED certification. We will be pursuing LEED certification for this building. All right, so with that, I'm going to hand it back to Robertson. We can talk about next steps and take some of the Q&A.
Sorry, which level LEED certification? Because there's a lot that you have around. Sorry, you're probably answering at the end.
Yeah, we're still kind of resolving exactly where we will land, but right now I think, you know, we're looking at silver at a minimum.
That makes sense. You have public transportation and a lot going for you guys, so that makes sense.
Thanks for the question, Ivan. And thank you, Brett, for passing that over. As you can see, the teams are working very hard on trying to massage this and incorporate all the feedback that we've been getting from the community and continue to receive. Here you can see how we've been in the history of the community engagement and where we're trending as we're preparing as we're working on the technical portion of the design and finalizing all those details. We will reconvene at the early part of next year, early 2025. And we're at that point, we hope to be able to show you a physical model of what we're putting together with all this feedback. So are currently at the October 30th meeting number 5, but future meetings in early and mid 2025. Next slide, please. So once again, this is the chance for questions and answers. This is our favorite time where we get to hear from the community on what you're seeing. There's been a lot of great dialogue going on in the chat. I'd like to definitely open up the floor here to ask and answer any questions. So there are various options on how to do that. As you can see below in the slide, there's the chat box, which everyone has been taking opportunities to use, which we appreciate. There's the raised hand question, and that's where I'll call out your name and you can unmute yourself and ask your question, and our team will do the best to provide an answer. And then also, if you're not able to, if you have questions that come up later, there's always a link back, the boston.gov/BCYF-Grove-Hall. There is an opportunity to also email the projects team, and we will make sure we respond to you in a proper fashion. With that said, I might have gone a little fast for the interpreters. I'll try to slow it down. I'll start off by calling on Petra M.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
I have probably a few questions. And how does the current senior center, which I attend, how does that fit into this whole project? Is there a plan to move that current senior center into the building? That's question number one. And I was concerned about parking because as you know, many of us use that current site for parking. And was the expectation for parking for us and for those teachers at the school, the high school? And one other question, would the pool be heated? I'm done, I think.
I'm going to try and recap the 4 questions you asked. The first one was regarding what's going to happen with the old senior center.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yes.
I can answer that.
Go ahead, Marta.
Hi, Petra. I'm Marta. I'm the BCYF commissioner. So at this time, initially we thought we would be relocating the services in the center to the new facility. But at this time, we're still, weighing our options and capturing feedback and trying to assess whether the space will be sufficient and what the needs are.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a definitive answer on that, and again, still gathering feedback. Ultimately, it will be up to BPS, right? That's a BPS facility.
Mhm.
But there is definitely discussion and room for, again, more info gathering. We still have a few years and we can decide then.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Partridge, I believe one other question you had mentioned was, is the pool going to be heated?
Yeah.
I think by code, it's going to be heated to whatever the code requirements are for a pool. We don't have our pool specialist on the call
Yeah,
right now, but
Nadine's on. I think it's like
awesome.
82. Nadine, is that correct? She might have jumped off, but there is a requirement. Yes, I believe it's like 82,
Okay.
84.
The other one that was for parking. So, on the current site, the teachers at the school and people who come to the center, we tend to park on that site. We know it's not legal, et cetera, et cetera. But is there any other consideration for any other type of parking in the area?
Maybe I can handle that one, Robertson. And sorry, everybody, I was supposed to jump in while we were presenting the landscape, but right in the middle, my Zoom crashed, which is usually what happens when it's an important time to talk. Relative to the parking, at our previous community meeting, we touched a little bit on this, and we would love to hear more feedback tonight. We've incorporated a few things. We've incorporated a bus drop-off in front of the front door, and this can be used for a couple of things. It can be used for charter buses that BCYF uses as part of their programming. It can be used for the ride, for pickups and drop-offs, or any other kind of ride share or carpooling. We've also set aside 3 additional parking spaces that we anticipate will be signed for handicap placards, as well as the existing parking spaces that are signed for handicap placards across the street.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we mentioned is at the last meeting, and we would love to hear some more feedback tonight, is the parking along Normandy Road currently is not restricted, but we did have a couple of ideas around introducing potentially some parking restrictions if the community is open to it, to make sure that staff who are at what used to be called the Burke High School, so that they don't park there, but that the parking remains open for community center visitors. And so that's very convenient to the front door. And we'd love to get more feedback on that tonight, Petra, from you or from anybody else on the call, so we can keep thinking about those ideas.
Okay.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Pardon?
I do have a couple other folks who have a hand up. I do want
my
to give
bad.
them a chance. But definitely, if you just hit the raise hand button, we'll definitely keep you in the queue.
Sorry about that.
All right. I'll turn it to Erico.
Hello, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Again, my name is Erico. I own 53 Old Fields Road. I'm very excited about this whole teen center. The design is amazing. Thank you for doing a great job so far. And I hope that the teen center does become what these designs are. It's amazing. For me, some of the concerns I have is in regards to one you just mentioned, somebody just mentioned about Normandy Street, which has been a very bad situation for folks that live on Oldfields Road, with people parking oversized trucks on the street, blocking us coming in and out of the street. So with making that a restricted parking spot for visitors, which are small vehicles, it's a thumbs up for me as a homeowner on Oldfields Road. Also, I love the fact that you guys are making the parking lot on the corner of Oldfields Road, which doesn't allow people to be able to park vehicles there, allow easy in and out of the street. Because a lot of times people are making turns way too close due to cars being parked. So a lot of these things you guys are doing is really making it comfortable for people that live on Oldfields Road. So far it's a thumbs up for me. One of the major concerns for me on this thing is trying to understand what exactly is going to happen on the long side of the back of Oldfield Road on the sidewalk. Right now, the sidewalk is pretty much useless for anybody using it. There's overgrown trees. The sidewalk is cut in a way that handicaps can't use it. And I'm just trying to get a bit a more. Sorry, my grandson just walked in. More of an understanding of. I understand you guys talk about a low uh, design fence. Is that going to be just on the parking space, or is it going to be alongside of the whole sidewalk? I know it's a lot of questions I'm asking here, but we're just trying to make sure that the folks that live on the 50 on Oldfields Road uh, are getting a little bit of the glamour of that building as we drive up and not being completely blocked off by a wall, a fence wall, not allowing us to enjoy the beauty also on that side. I saw the angle of the corner, but I hope it goes all the way across the whole street. And also, as homeowners that live on the street now, is there any type of program that's being offered for the homeowners here? Because prior, when the place was originally built, it was built as a private way, which allowed the builder to do a lot of things that shouldn't have been done to begin with. So a lot of homeowners on the street are struggling on how to do a little bit of a facelift on everybody's homes. Is there anything that the city can help us with as we building this uh, facility to help, enhance the remaining of the street? And I leave it at that. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Erico. There's a lot to take in. I can definitely.
Sorry.
No problem. So I'm just trying to remember all the questions that as they come. One was regarding the fence. Petra, would you be able to pull up the slide that showed that first angle? The short answer to the fence question is that it's not the entire run of the back of the property. It's in a select section where vehicles will be parked along the back. As you can see in the image that's in front of you. Once again, this is something that we're still working on, and it's not finalized how tall the fence is, but we definitely never intended to go the entire length of the property to put a fence.
Okay.
All right. If you can take my email down, I'm glad to put it in the chat. If you email me, I can help you get in contact with the Public Works Department, who manages the remainder of the right of way, and can help address some of these issues regarding beautification of the street. If it is a private street, unfortunately, it's not something that it's not.
We gave the street back to the city. That's why the street looks the way it looks now. I was one of the guys that moved in and helped move the street, give back the street to the city of Boston, which now we have sidewalks, a better road, and so on and so forth, plants, street cleaning, and so on and so forth. So this is an ongoing project. But our biggest thing is that, again, is making sure that we have this beautiful facility, but at the same time, to help enhance the remaining of the street. That we don't have one corner that looks beautified, but the rest of the street is still in shambles, I should say that way.
Unfortunately,
Yeah,
that's. Go
I
ahead,
was
Petra.
just gonna jump in for 1 second, just to kind of, maybe Olivera, if we could talk a little bit to the sidewalk improvements that we're making along the building, because I do think, there is some good stuff that's happening there to address some of the concerns. Obviously, that's just along our building line, Erico.
Yep.
You know, Olivera, if you could just maybe summarize for Erico what we're proposing there in terms of the new sidewalk.
Yeah, so we treating that sidewalk the same as Normandy and Geneva in a way. There's a there will be a new curb, new permeable paver strip where the trees are, and then a new concrete sidewalk, and it will be all accessible. Unfortunately, yeah, this project does not go on the across this Old Fields Road. It's only, you know, for now, that's the extent of the project. It's definitely gonna be much nicer to look at, yeah, and accessible.
Perfect. That's great. That's a good chunk of Old Fields Road.
Yeah, half of the one side, yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Right. Erica, did we address? I think we addressed two of your questions. Was there a question that we did not address?
No. The other thing is basically on Normandy Street. I know we talked about making that side of that sidewalk on parking. You know, make it that it's available. Um, it's available for the teen center only. But you know, we're saying this. It brings another concern for me is I know we have teachers that use this space right now to park while they're teaching on Burke. What are we doing to make sure that Old Fields Road does not become a parking lot for the teachers?
Right now, I believe and help me correct me if I'm wrong, but Oldfield Road is permit parking only at the moment, or is it not permit parking?
No, it's not. It's not permit parking only. It's available for anybody to park. But I'm just concerned that you know, taking away this parking space and you know, from Burke, which is it's accessible for right now for the teachers or staff members to park in. I just don't know if by taking away this space, what is it going to do?
Why you turn your TV off?
Folks, can we please mute?
Oh, wait a minute. Oh,
Thank you.
sorry.
Thank you, Erica. Unfortunately, parking is not something that we can provide as we're trying to make something that could be more valuable to the entire community versus. So, but if there's something that the Burke High School can do that to accommodate their teachers and faculty, I'm sure that they'll work on a plan and we can have the conversations with them. However, right now, what's in our scope of work is providing this facility for the community and making sure that everyone can have access to it.
Got it.
At the moment.
No, I get it. Again, I'm just making sure that Old Fields Road doesn't become a congested street to be able to accommodate parking for the teachers while residents are lacking space to be able to park. That's all. That's the concern I'm bringing up. I understand that you can't provide parking for Burke. I just want to make sure that Old Fields Road does not become the replacement of this space once it's built. That's all I'm saying.
Understood. And thank you for your comment there.
Thank you. But otherwise, man, the street, the building looks amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to give Dorothy a chance to ask her question.
Hi, I don't understand when you guys were coming up with this plan, you didn't consider the elderly who come to the senior center, who that's the only place they have to go to socialize with other people, and the teachers from the births. I don't understand that. How could you not think about those people? Some of those elderly can't even walk too far only across the street to come to the center. They come there to socialize and have lunch and stuff. I don't understand how you guys coming up with this big plan and didn't factor the elderly and the teachers. This is not fair. It's really not. And you guys know that. And not everybody's gonna get parking on the street, especially when it snows. So I don't understand. Please respond.
Thank you, Dorothy, for your comment. And it's unfortunate that you feel that way. There's been a lot of consideration taken for anyone who would need a community center, particularly the seniors. We've had several meetings as our colleagues noted earlier in slides with the seniors who attend at the Grove Hall Senior Center, just showing them what we're trying to do, what we're trying to accomplish. Unfortunately, there are certain things that we can't provide as we're trying to maximize the space so that everyone can have access to it and everyone can feel welcome and come, including seniors and elderly. Unfortunately, parking is not something that we can guarantee for any project, for this particular project as well. We can do our best to try and work with our fellow departments, such as the Boston Transportation Department and Public Works to make sure that the streets are clear and that the sidewalks are clear so that folks can access the site. And there is some parking, as we've mentioned, identified, have created as much parking opportunities in both the front and on the side. Unfortunately, and there are lots nearby. There are a couple lots nearby. I understand this issues with walking. However, there are several resources out there, and we can help identify them to be able to transport folks to the community center. I want to stress that this has been a very involved process, and we've met with the seniors on several occasions to talk about this, and we understand their concerns and they understand their desires. And one of the things that they desired and that we're providing is a new space that's larger than where they have been before, so that they can continue to come and expand and do more programming on top of what they've been doing at the Grove Hall Senior Center.
But do you understand that the center might not be there because there's no one coming into the building? Maybe 4 or 5 people if they have somebody to give them a ride. You guys thought about that? That senior center might no longer there because there's no accommodation for the people who attend. I really don't understand. You guys don't take those things in consideration. You're gonna say there's nowhere to park. When this elderly coming to meet, included, coming to the center, and have to drive around the place to find parking, then walk all the way, people with a cane, all the way back to the senior center. I do not understand that.
How far do you live from the center, Carol?
I can walk to the center. Doesn't matter how far I live, I can't walk to the center.
I understand. Thank you for sharing your comments, Dorothy. And we've had several previous iterations where we showed all the potential locations for parking.
And what did the senior agree with what you guys saying? Did they
I'm
agree?
sorry?
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch
Did they
that.
agree? Did this senior agree with this plan?
This is our 5th community meeting, so the seniors have been aware of what's been coming along. So yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And thank you as well. I appreciate your comments. Ivan?
Hey.
Sorry, before you start, Ivan, I just want folks to know, those who have been writing in the chat, we will get to that. We just have a few more hands that are raised that I'd like to give them a chance to speak, and then we'll go through the chat. I'm sorry, Ivan, go ahead.
No, thank you guys. As everyone said, the designs are great. I guess the first question, I'll probably link it to the last couple questions. The senior center, I guess I'm aware that there's a senior center across the street in the Burke or in the library. So are we also providing a senior center in the community center? Is the first question, I guess. I'll try not to make these long for you guys. And then I guess for handicap parking, where would they park? I heard about the bus stop in the front and the staff parking in the back. That sounds great. And then the last one, that art room where the wall will be painted adjacent to what is currently the auto body store or shop. What happens when that auto body shop changes? Like, I guess, is that a wall you're building in addition, or is it going to be on that wall? Like, yeah, so that's the last question there.
Thank you, Evan. So we'll start with your first question, which is regarding the current senior center over at Grove Hall.
Would you like me to answer that?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Sure. Hi, I'm Martha, I'm the BCYF Commissioner. So you're correct, there is a senior center, it was referred to as a senior center across the street in the BPS Burke building. It is, I believe, a bit of a misnomer. It's more of a senior room. So it's an alcove, you walk in, and there is a large room. And so they're busting at the seams, and there's been, they've been advocating for more space. So this is a way to build in more space into the center. And actually there, again, we had initially thought, as I said earlier, that we would not have a need for the existing space once we created the new space and the community center. But there has been advocacy to keep both. And the community center, the new facility space for the seniors, like many of the spaces there, will be multi-purpose. So they, again, maybe that's why there's an advocacy to maybe keep the same, but it is a growing need in this community as it is in others. So I would just say that again, although it sounds like there's two centers, they're really small spaces.
Got it.
Thank you. All right, thanks. Ivan, your second question was regarding handicap parking. If I recalling
Yeah,
that correctly?
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
All right. So we're gonna be going before the Public Improvement Commission for the changes to the right of way. And one of the options that we're looking to have the commission review is how we can dedicate, if you look at the diagram currently on Geneva Ave, the bus stop is not the entire stretch. There are a few spots at the
I
back
see
end.
it. Yeah, I see it.
So we're looking to petition to have those be handicap spaces.
Okay, that's good.
All right. And your third question was regarding the wall in the back.
Yeah.
So that existing wall, it belongs to the abutter, which is the garage shop. We're not building up on the wall. I can turn to our design team to kind of elaborate more on the design intent for this corner.
Yeah, I can take it from there, Robertson. So that's an existing wall of the auto body shop. There are a lot of really wonderful murals that are painted on that wall. We don't intend to alter that at all. I think in a way it's really great scenery for that outdoor art room to inspire everybody who's taking part in that to kind of look at the murals and create the work that they're doing there. So again, that's kind of like backdrop. It's not a part of this project specifically, but in a way it becomes another wall. One thing I also wanted to build on relative to senior programming, and that is we've had a number of workshops directly with the seniors in the space across the street. And I wanted to emphasize that all of the spaces in the new community center are planned to be accessible for the seniors. There's elevator access to the 2 floors. We are explaining the zero entry features of the swimming pool. We've taken into account and thought really hard about how seniors can use all of the spaces and not just be in one single room of the community center, but take advantage of everything that's in the building.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Brett. I'll turn to Gerard. He's had his hand up.
Hi, I just had a few questions regarding the parking spaces. Would there be any parking spaces directly along the sidewalk or the street in front of the building and along if there's not already public parking along that initial corner of the building? And then if so, would it be possible to do some kind of to either speak with the city or to reserve those spots for the community center itself, and in doing so come up with some kind of almost like a parking pass system where you would come in and not specifically, but in a way we could accommodate elderly or people that do need to park closer, where they could park in front or along the other side of the corner and come in, either get a pass to put on as a hook in their rear view mirror or something identifying saying that this person parked here in the community center.
All right, thanks for that. I think that was a very interesting approach. Definitely unique situation. It's not something that we have privy right now, other locations. But I would like to let BCY speak to more to how they operate their site. In terms of identifying parking, the first part of your question, I think we get touch base earlier on it on the Geneva Ave. We're going before the Public Improvement Commission to get the blessings to convert that to a bus stop so that buses can drop off, and that could be a drop-off zone for anyone coming to the site, particularly those who might need some further assistance. And then we have are looking to identify those spots right behind the bus stop for handicap parking. BCYF, I guess I could turn a question about regarding
To repeat the question, I was
yes.
strolling through the Q&A, well, the chat, trying to make sure I'm answering questions. Apologies, Robinson.
No problem. So it's not something that's been done before in terms of parking permitting, and it's just a matter of understanding how that would work and if that's something that the traffic BTD would allow. We can look into this further and get back to you as we get a chance to develop the PIC process and streetscape further.
Okay, thank you.
What was the programming question?
It was regarding some kind of parking system for dedicating parking and doing a placard of some sort.
Oh, sorry. So no, we don't currently have anything like that in our network. I mean, we operate 35 facilities across the city, and for none of them do we have a parking system where we recognize we're in the city, and again, some facilities have more access, but none of our facilities have, I would say, I don't think anyone would say, yeah, we have ample parking for all of our sites. It's always a struggle. We're in the city and you know, some sites have parking and others don't, but I would argue that not everyone has ample parking.
Thank you.
I have a comment. Are we able to have some flower versus all the trees? I feel like Dorchester, Roxbury is nothing but trees. Can we make it more like colorful and friendly versus just trees all around it?
We could definitely take that into consideration. Thank you. Thank you for your comment. I do want to give Emmanuel a chance to speak. She's had her hand up for a while, followed by Lisa.
Hey folks, how are we doing? Good to see everyone here and the success and the progress. My question was about the technology that's going to be in the building. Maybe I missed that part. So what kind of smart tech are we going to have in the building when someone enters? There's almost like some type of something that greets people, something that shows presentation that when you walk throughout the building, there's technology that's interacting and engaging. I know a lot of times when you walk into more modern buildings, there are things that are informing people, could ask questions for you, almost a face recognition where if people are actually members and they're walking by, there's a face recognition that can recognize them and say, hey, Manuel, glad you're here today. I don't know if what we have in store or what the city of Boston is doing in terms of technology in our buildings. But the question is for me is how are we making this a 21st century and beyond building where we're using tech in a very advanced and smart way?
I'm going to start by saying, Emmanuel, I think my union workforce would not appreciate being replaced by a robot when you walk into the building. So when you walk in, you will be greeted by one of our staff. We do have, you know, like a fob system or our membership database. You know, we'll be using QR codes and things like that to check in, but you'll be checked in by a person. I just had to say that. And I'm not sure if Robertson has other thoughts in terms of technology throughout the building, because it is something that's maybe a little further along in the process.
Yes, we're working with the city's IT department to make sure that Wi-Fi and capabilities are. We're very big on providing infrastructure so that technology can work the way it's supposed to. In terms of when we mentioned Wi-Fi coverage, there will be a tech lab, and the contents of that, you know, depending on what the community feedback is, we'll make sure that we provide the features that work for the community. But we do our best to try and stay ahead of the curve when it comes to technology and putting the most up-to-date infrastructure to make sure that there's no loss in service and that sort of speak. We just try to make sure that we provide the vessel so that everyone can be able to connect.
Mm-hmm. And I think that Wi-Fi is good. When I think of technology, I don't think of Wi-Fi. I mean, for me now, Wi-Fi is like having a bicycle or even having a pair of sneakers nowadays. You know, Wi-Fi. I mean, almost we're trying to get every community, every house in the country to have Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about next level of, and maybe this is something where we can partner with the business community, but what's making this building, when I go to other countries and when I see some of the technology that's out there, and Boston being like this, you know, we always told it to be this exceptional city that leads the world in so many things. And so as we talk about what we're bringing to Grove Hall, you know, I think that it should be just more than just we're all going to be able to plug in and get Wi-Fi. But even with this beautiful space that we're building, how is it going to be interactive? We walk into the lobby, uh, other than couches and somebody saying hello to me, what does it look like? Can we have events there with screens that come down and we can connect with people? What is the space going to be, and how are we going to have these interchangeable spaces that uses technology to make sure that it's not just I can bring my computer and connect, but something that's dynamic for our young people and our families to be able to say, you know what, my community and my neighborhood prepared me for what's out there in the world. If we're talking about using this building as a multi-purpose building, that's not just going to be for recreation, but for mind stimulation and development of our families and our young people for the future.
Thank you for that clarification. There definitely will be opportunities for screens and for connectivity so that you can do presentations and be able to take part. But I'd love for you to provide more detail in terms of what you're looking for so that we can via feedback through my email. I've had it listed in the chat there. I'd love to
Will
hear
do.
more about that and see how we can incorporate that. But I appreciate that feedback. I think that's a great
Oh,
idea. If we can find a way to incorporate it, we will.
all right, will do. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Lisa, you've had your hand up for a while. I appreciate your patience.
Okay, thank you. I'm piggyback off of Miss Hudson about the parking. I see how nice you have the sidewalks going, and as you said, the
So when
seniors,
last time you looked in the fridge?
the seniors will would be, need the area as far as located to if they're driving, but also as far as being dropped off. A lot of them had the ride and stuff. And as Mike pointed out, only the 19 bus come down that street. So that's one point. The other point is the location of the senior room. I know everything modern, you're gonna have elevator, but why does it have to be on the second floor?
The senior room is actually located on the first floor.
Oh, okay. I was watching reverse when she was saying it. I thought that was on the second floor.
Not a
Okay.
problem.
Okay, well, okay, then that's a good one. But as far as, like I said, as far as the parking in the drive up, as far as the seniors, the ride, and them having access to people just dropping them off and making it easier for them to get to and from the front door and stuff. Even as they were saying, as far as the weather, you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was our intent with that curb cut as you see there, where we have the drop off zone right in front of the door. So we're hoping to minimize uh help out anyone who has to take the ride or get dropped off, that they can get access to the building
So
relatively
it's gonna
easy.
be like an L core or something that they
Yes,
can
with a
come
bump out.
closer in.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then thank you.
Thank you. These have all been very, very great questions. I really appreciate the feedback, and I know our team does as well. Um, I think I've answered all the hand raising questions. Are there any questions in the chat that we have not addressed? I see that the team's been providing answers, and I'm hoping everybody has a chance or can see into the chat as well. Once again, this is not the only forum to provide feedback. You can always go to the link to the boston.gov website, and there's a link there to provide additional feedback. And also my email is in the chat, as I'm sure that we might not be able to get to everyone today, but we'll do our best, of course, to address your comments and get back to you. So we'll hear back from the team. I think there was a question about bike racks.
Yeah, Robertson, I was gonna ask if you could answer that, because there is a city ordinance to address that.
Yes, we have not finalized the layout for where the bike racks would go, but that is something that we're going to incorporate into the drawings, potentially into the sitescape. Let's see what other questions I might have missed. Mike touched base on that fact that this will be a cooling center, that this facility will be used as a cooling center. All right. I don't think I see any other hands.
Yes.
Sorry, Mike Kuza, go ahead. And
At some point, because I know we have a lot of folks on that would like to talk more about the use of the gym, the other rooms, because it's a little misleading on the workshops. A lot of the teenagers and young adults really want to utilize the gym and the other flexible spaces that you have. So I think at some point we need to describe what are some of the options and availabilities. And then we want people's feedback as to what some of these activities should be prioritized, whether it's volleyball, double dutch dance, workout rooms, aerobics, basketball, and so forth.
thank you for your question, Mike. So your question's focused on programming?
Especially for the gym space and the other spaces as well, so people can understand what the uh, possibilities are. And then also, I thought Marta's always raised some very good points about accessible programs as well that can be done within those programs.
I mean, the gym is it'll be lined for all of those activities, right? So it's not just a basketball court. They'll have the lines and the equipment for volleyball. I mean, it's a variety of programming that we're doing now across other sites that we do on all our courts. Futsal, for example. You know, and I mentioned this earlier that a lot of the spaces we've really worked with UTEAL and the community to ensure that the spaces are flexible. So we have, you know, multi-purpose spaces, and that's done again with the intent that, you know, the wants and needs, you know, shift. There are fads. A lot of our sites are now doing pickleball, so it's pickleball now, but you know, in 5 years it might be something else. We want to make sure that this facility will withstand a lot of those different fads, if you will. And you had another question, Mike.
The other point, I think someone else had raised a thing about indoor. There is an indoor track around the court, right?
On the floor, but not the raise. Someone did ask the question about the raise. At what point we did have the raise. Moreover, it was quite expensive, so that was one of the things that we had to remove from the plan. So it's not raised, but it is around the court. You also asked a question about accessibility. So making the building not just accessible in terms of meeting ADA requirements was important, but for us to go above and beyond, which is why the zero barrier entry pool was important. There is a lot of storage around the gymnasium. There's a storage space where we could potentially store accessible equipment for different sports. You know, we right now we have one of our sites that is working in partnership with Adaptive Sports, and the equipment is pretty big, right? So we wanted to build this with that hope that we could expand our partnership with them and have, you know, accessible sports, adaptive sports available at this facility.
Petra, maybe you can back up to the floor plan and just highlight for everybody the very large storage room that we've planned, just so that we can accommodate all of the different sports in the gym, as well as the adaptive sports program that Marta was just mentioning, because having the right infrastructure, especially storage, is so critical to be able to support the programming that's going to be happening in the community center. And Marta's been reminding us of that throughout, and we've been trying to create all appropriately sized storage areas to help support that.
Sure, yeah, we have a large storage area at the ground level, and then we also have a storage mezzanine, so it's kind of a two-level storage space, which is quite large.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, just going through more of the questions in the chat. There was a comment by Steve Godfrey regarding the use of the outdoor space, outdoor art space, and for potential community gatherings. So that was a lot of it. Going back to what Marta said, a lot of what we design is to create as much versatility so that the community can get as much use out of that site. And if there's an opportunity to be able to gather and host or do some kind of performances in the front, we hope that we create a space that could allow for that. That was part of our intent with the exterior programming.
Thank you. I picked up on that, Robert. So Appreciate it.
All right. No problem. All right. I think there's a question regarding the MBTA regarding the number 19 bus, the potential to move the stop to the front of the uh, building. We have not had that conversation with the MBTA yet, but we're still trying to figure out how that would work if it is a live drop off zone. There might be some conflicts there, but we definitely will have the conversation with the MBTA to see what makes the most sense. And then a question I have from Felix, will these spaces be available for people in the community to rent off community hours? I'll defer to
Oh,
BCY.
yeah, so I mean, our current policies will also apply here. So if by that you mean like if you had a league and you wanted to use a gymnasium, so we do have what do you call it? Our spaces are available for the community, and it just whether it's a league or if you needed a space for a public meeting, things like that. What we don't do is private functions. So you wouldn't be able to rent it out for private functions. But yes, if it'll be open for use.
And Martha, can I ask you, because I know, can you talk about the prioritization of programming though? So get it that some of the sites experience has been, if we have a large group of young people activities that then consume the time of rental, the center has kind of the autonomy to adjust that, because some communities feel the activities for young people are more important than rentals. Can you balance that conversation just to give a general understanding, if you understand the gist?
I mean, hard to say again this far in advance what the demand will be. But as a community center, BCYF does prioritize youth programming, right? So if we have an adult entity that is looking to run a league and it's like a 6 o'clock and there's a youth league, we're always going to prioritize the youth. That is, our mission. Our hope is that with a facility this size, we'll be able to accommodate everyone. I'm not sure if maybe that's what you were asking, Steve.
Yes, just because, sometimes it's unique. And so like when you considered like back in the day when you looked at Madison Park. So if a request came at their peak time, again, understanding what the priority is. You answered it. Thank you.
Yep. And, I think that a lot of our sites have fallen into like a pretty cadence, right, where we have a lot of the programming in the morning. And again, this is generally morning programming. You have your littles, maybe you have parents or grandparents with the littles, like a 3-4-year-olds that do toddler time. Then you go into senior time, coffee hours, chair yoga. And as the day progresses, then you have your school age kids, and then the teens, and then the adults. And it just happens that the activities kind of almost naturally happen that way at the sites. But again, when there is a conflict for a particular activity, depending on that time, as Steven said, if it's peak time for our youth programming, we're certainly going to prioritize them over adult programming during peak times.
Thank you.
Thank you for that question and answer. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. I know this meeting was supposed to end at 7, and we've had a great dialogue that is taking us to 7:30. I want to remind everyone that there's also going to be opportunity to send feedback. So if you haven't had a chance to have a question, or a question does pop up, or you'd like to provide any concerns or thoughts, please feel free to, Marta, if you don't, I'm sorry, Petra, would you mind going to the link with the last page with the link to the website? So there are various ways to get us any more of your feedback and questions, and we do respond. So don't hesitate to, even if it's a thought, we'll confirm that we received it and make sure that your thoughts are heard. boston.gov/BCYF-Grove-Hall. Also, I have provided my email in the chat, robertson.caster@boston.gov. We do want to respect everyone's time and give everyone a chance to get back to their families in their evenings. But we really, really appreciated this feedback and this dialogue. I want to say this has actually been our largest meeting to date in terms of attendance, which we're really thrilled to have that. Just shows that folks are very interested, and we want to make sure we get as much of their thoughts as possible. With that said, I'd like to wrap this meeting up for us today and give everyone a chance to get back home.
Yes.
But we look forward to hearing your questions and your feedback, and we look forward to seeing you all at the next meeting.
Thank you. And Martha and Robertson, if there is items, and Godfrey from Quincy, Geneva, and you got a great community engagement group, MBTA conversations are tough. Please let us know how you need us.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.